Yeah, Goo. I think you're wrong on this one. This matters. This matters because to me, it essentially makes it official that everything's not kumbaya. Now, we probably knew it.
Okay.
We thought about, you said, Steiny, you couldn't do what Jimmy did. And I said, well, I'm not really sure what happened. We don't know the specifics. But clearly, I think we can infer that, Jimmy Garoppolo isn't ecstatic about where he's at and what happened. And my feeling on it is two things. One is if Garoppolo and Shanahan aren't in lockstep, they're not going anywhere. But two is, remember when Zach Littell slammed the ball into Gabe Kapler's hand?
Yeah, I'll never forget it.
Well, it was Zach Littell. Hit the pike. You're not the one to deliver that message. Jimmy's different. Jimmy's not only the quarterback, Jimmy is probably the most respected player on the San Francisco 49ers. We've all acknowledged that he's a class act and how he's handled it. Where I'm going is
volume.
Garoppolo is the type of player and type of professional. He doesn't do this without really feeling it. My point is Jimmy Garoppolo's got integrity and Jimmy Garoppolo's a professional. And so if he's expressing some displeasure with Kyle Shanahan, I think that you have to at least acknowledge it.
Well, you know what? And now you got me thinking, let me know if I'm hearing you correctly, that he may be speaking for others.
Maybe, but I know he's speaking for himself. And I think we can, look, is it a big deal that he said your plays stink or your plays suck, man, or draw plays suck, man?
Yeah.
I mean, of course, that happens a lot, but have we seen Jimmy do it? We've seen Jimmy act differently in the last week
no doubt.
Than he has in his previous 4 years. We already had been talking about it. He's feeling a little frisky. Jimmy's feeling a little frisky.
Right.
Okay, well, guess what? Frisky means maybe being a little more emotional on the field.
But isn't this what you get, Kyle?
Yes,
so,
exactly.
John, isn't this what you get for bringing me back?
Exactly.
Now, I'll tell you what. You say if they're not on the same page, they can't win. And I want to say this. I don't know everything that's going to happen this Niners season, but one thing I know for sure that won't happen, Jimmy will not throw a pass to Kyle. So I know we've seen it with the dynamic of the manager in a dugout where Reggie Jackson, Billy, they hate each other, but the team still wins. Are we really there yet to where if they're not on the same page and it is kind of difficult and rough terrain, that Jimmy can still go out and hit Ayuk when he's supposed to hit Ayuk in stride or hit Debo?
No, I don't think so. All I said is this: if Kyle Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo are not on the same page, are not in lockstep,
it looks like they're not now.
I mean, they're done. Then they have no chance because we all know that they've got to be in lockstep. Jimmy's got to be coached the right way. 888-957-9570 is the number. We're talking about the video. Jimmy Garoppolo obviously unhappy with the play call or play calling. We don't know the specific play, but does it really matter? Jimmy Garoppolo basically said that Kyle Shanahan's plays sucked. And see, that's the other thing that to me is interesting is 5-6 years ago when Kyle Shanahan came here, the one thing everybody agreed on was he's a great play caller. He's a great play caller.
Yeah.
Well, Jimmy Garoppolo is questioning play calling? Like, that's supposed to be the thing he has, Kyle Shanahan.
Well, it comes down to trust. And I heard the guys this morning on the changeover talking about what coach worth his salt would let time tick out in the Super Bowl when you had an opportunity to call timeout, and your GM, who's a Hall of Famer, by the way, is calling for a timeout, and Kyle didn't call for one. And I came here huffing and puffing to you like, Steiny, come on, the greats wouldn't have done that. They would give their right arm to call a timeout and try to get some points or at least try. So it comes down to trust, but again, Jimmy was removed from this equation of even being a San Francisco 49er. What would this team look like if you didn't have them? And I'm asking you, Steiny, do you think this is the first sign that there's water on the boat inside the locker room? Because now if you didn't say it and you alluded to it, now you got me thinking if Jimmy's saying this and Buck and being that teenager, is he speaking for Debo? Is he speaking for – I mean, we're never going to know, but, I mean, man, I wonder if Kyle knew he was signing up for this, bringing him back. This different type of Jimmy that you talk of.
Of course he didn't know, because he doesn't take into account the human element. Kyle Shanahan has no interest in how a player feels. And yes, like this is exactly what I'm talking about. For a while, we've talked about, well, what is Jimmy really thinking? What is Jimmy really thinking? Well, I'll tell you what. I think in the last week, we found out a lot of what Jimmy's thinking. And I was saying this 2 weeks ago. I was like, Shanahan's probably not an easy guy to quarterback for. Well, clearly he's not an easy guy to quarterback for because Garoppolo knows that he's got some issues with Shanahan, whether he thinks Shanahan's not taking the handcuffs off him or not. But yes, this is the reason I think this is important is because, yes, this is the first tangible sign we have that Kyle Shanahan is maybe not Teflon. And, now I go back to last year with Brandon Ayuk. Well, it's easy to do what Kyle Shanahan did to Brandon Ayuk, a second-year player. It's like it's easy for a bully to badger the weakest kid in the class. But when Jimmy Garoppolo starts questioning the head coach, yes, I think you have to acknowledge it and you have to talk about it a little bit. I'm not saying their season's down the drain because I think there's still plenty of time left. But obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo's feeling some kind of way about Kyle Shanahan.
And the Chris Collinsworth cut was like, I mean, that's more than the video to me, Steiny. Like, and again, he's human. And I just wonder if they did the right calculus, the right math. I'm thinking we could get him to be a good soldier, per se, bringing him back. And now we're 3 weeks in, and you're right. The math is still there. Can I see them beating the Rams? I can. But, Steiny, I can also see them losing to the Rams because now guys are dropping like flies. And if you say you need to be in step, the coach and the quarterback, I get that. I believe that. But if this is their version of not being in step, then what we see Monday night with a loss, and now we got this type of Kardashian stuff going. I mean, man, who's to say how long this would take to get fixed if they can even fix it?
888-957-9570, the number if you want to jump into the conversation. Jimmy Garoppolo essentially caught on tape saying, your plays suck, man. Clearly about Kyle Shanahan. It was obviously in frustration after something didn't go right. We don't know the exact play, but we've seen this before. Does it matter? Doesn't it matter? I don't know. We're used to Jimmy Garoppolo being as vanilla can be, and clearly in the last week or two, we found out that he's got a little more spice than that. Does it matter? Is it going to be a factor this year? I don't know. I know they're 1-2, and Kyle Shanahan doesn't like to get asked questions like this. I mean, I think that's become obvious. So, yes, somebody's got to ask him today about being on the same page with Jimmy Garoppolo.
And I want to hear Garoppolo's answer. I want to see both of them asked about it and see how they handle it. Then that'll be more evidence, Steiny, because something's obviously up. And I get Jimmy feeling some type of way. I couldn't have did what Jimmy did. I know you're like, oh, go, you would have took the money. I couldn't have did it. Because I knew it was over. You didn't trust me, and you didn't think you could get it done. That's your Bobby Brown, your prerogative, so I'll go somewhere else and take my services. But to come back and now have this popping off, and we got a Monday night game, which will be at the Hilton Monday broadcasting with the rest of the station. This is, man, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be going to be a fun week, and the 49ers obviously play the Rams on Monday Night Football, but we've got issues 3 weeks into the season. I mean, sometimes I do think of it. I think, okay, I'm Jimmy Garoppolo, and I'm okay. I know I'm not a superstar, but I'm okay, and we've gone to 2 NFC championships in the last 3 years. And my head coach clearly just doesn't totally appreciate him.
Man.
You know that. He knows that. The fan base doesn't totally appreciate Jimmy Garoppolo. So the San Francisco 49ers say, you know what? Let's do the right thing. We don't really believe in Jimmy, so let's move on. They move on. They try Trey Lance. They discard Jimmy Garoppolo. But not only did they discard Jimmy Garoppolo, they don't do him any favors this offseason after that surgery. And now they're coming with their hat in their hand. Kyle Shanahan with his hat in his hand. Hey, Jimmy, would you like to be a backup? And Jimmy's got to swallow his pride.
Yeah.
But he's embarrassed. And you humiliated him.
Go ahead. You preaching.
You humiliated Jimmy Garoppolo after he was a good soldier for 4 years. And now you want him. You want him back. Well, you got him back, but he's not the same Jimmy Garoppolo.
And what if I told you this? With your football analysis, or anybody out there listening, whatever you think of Jimmy Garoppolo, if he pulled up and got on this mic to the left of us, Steiny, you're right. And he said, you know what, guys? I'm a better quarterback than this system is allowing me to show. Would you buy that? What you know about football? Would you say there's
wouldn't.
some validity?
Yeah,
like an NBA basketball player, you got him in the wrong system.
No.
Or do you say you are who you are?
Yeah.
That's a stretch. That's a reach.
Yeah, I would not say he can be a better quarterback somewhere else.
That's just my 2 cents.
But I don't blame him for thinking he could be better somewhere else.